Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram at Younique Yet Connected.
You are now listening to episode 88, The Air You Breathe, The Hidden Loyalty to Death.
What if your body is holding a silent secret war, an unconscious contract of loyalty to someone in your family who chose death or who suffered an unbearable loss? We enter the space where love and death intersect. Today we witness a client whose severe suffocation was a systemic symptom of inherited guilt. Her body was trying to keep a fatal vow. How dare I breathe easily when he couldn't? This is the journey from suffocation and sorrow to the ultimate act of sovereignty, the conscious choice to live twice.
Welcome to Younique Yet Connected. I'm Nolitha Xozwa Fenton, iToloKazi, the explorer of the unseen, the unheard, and the untold, the space holder, seeker, and sacred witness in the work of systemic family constellations. As always, I'm not alone. Kinga and Nika on the other side of the virtual. Over to you, Kings.
Thank you, Noli. Hello, dear listeners and co-editors. Hello, Nick. This is where we explore the hidden patterns that shape our lives. I am Kinga Szilágyi, facilitator and guide through the field where unseen truths rise to the surface. Together, we walk the invisible terrain of the family soul, where the wisdom that speaks is when the system reveals itself.
Thank you for joining our movement of translating the wisdom of systemic family constellations into a practical language that all of us can easily understand and, most importantly, implement in our daily lives. This is the Field Knows series, where in each episode we share stories from the field that are from our workshops and individual sessions. We're venturing into the shadows of the soul, where love and death intersect. Our story begins with the physical body speaking an unbearable truth, a severe lung infection, a physical experience of suffocation.
The body, Noli, is the ultimate historian. When breath, our primary connection to life, is compromised, it is often a somatic symptom of a systemic rejection of life. For our client, it was an unconscious question. Do I truly believe I have the right to the air I breathe?
It sounds terrifying, Kings, to realize that your own body is trying to keep a vow you didn't even know you made. Today, we dissect that vow, the unconscious loyalty to death, a love so intense, it demands your life force.
The investigation begins the paradox of the beloved block. When we looked at the client's relationship with the suffocation, the energy was profoundly paradoxical. There was no repulsion, only connection. The illness wasn't seen as an enemy, but as a home. The client felt a powerful love for the suffocation, and the suffocation returned that love.
The idea that a disease, a block, or a feeling of suffocation can be love is deeply challenging. But it speaks to our human need for belonging. Even in suffering, if the suffering connects me to something important, I will choose it.
In an imbalanced system, energy often gets stuck in fatal loyalty. The sickness or the block is actually the visible function holding the system together. It is saying, I have to stay sick or suffocate because that state guarantees my connection to, and that ellipsis is where the ancestor or the trauma resides.
That ellipsis led us to the most painful revelation. When we brought in the energy of to whom the suffocation belongs, the client's system finally found permission to release. The memory broke through.
The memory was intense. Her cousin had confided in her about his intention to commit suicide by hanging, the ultimate act of suffocation, and she hadn't taken it seriously. Her body, years later, had picked up the unresolved trauma. Her system had taken on his choice and his mode of death as a form of unconscious loyalty. The contract was clear. I should have been with you, so I will join you, or at least share your fate.
This is the power of survivor's guilt. It is the fierce belief that one's own continued life and joy is a betrayal of the dead person's suffering. That guilt becomes a gravitational force, a silent vow to not surpass the dead. Let's pause here for guided reflection. Naming the contract. Let's take a moment. This territory requires deep introspection. Kings and I invite you to pause the noise of the outside world and listen to your interior landscape.
Locate the block. Where in your body do you feel resistance? Heaviness? Or an inability to breathe fully in life? Name the feeling. Now name the loyalty. What sorrow or sacrifice are you unconsciously loyal to? A little help from us. Check your ancestral field. Is there a tragedy, a severe loss, or a difficult fate in your family system that you might be carrying? Allow whatever comes into your mind. You can pause the podcast here for 15 minutes of quiet reflection.
Standing on the edge, the sacred choice. When the system separates into death and life, the pull of the dead is intense. The client was physically and emotionally drawn to the representative of death. She actively rejected life.
Guilt is a powerful adhesive force. It's often a perverse attempt to control the past. The client was saying, if I stay here near the tragedy, it means I haven't forgotten. And maybe, in some way, I am atoning for my failure to save him. The guilt becomes a barrier to receiving life force.
I once felt immense guilt for a professional success that felt too easy. It was my unconscious vow. I must suffer equally to be worthy. It takes immense energy to choose life when your system is weighed down by unending guilt.
The cousin's fate and the unfinished crossing. In the constellation, the representative standing for the cousin was placed by the client to show a feeling of being literally stuck. A difficult, unresolved energy suspended between the perceived forces of life and death. The loss of the will to live and the yearning to join the beloved. The client, by unconsciously moving towards the state of death in the field, was mirroring her own inner state and, in a sense, keeping that difficult, unintegrated emotional energy in suspension for both of them.
This is where the wisdom of the field becomes intensely practical. The therapeutic insight came when the representative standing in the emotional place of death offered a profound instruction to the client's representative. It is not your place. This voice does not come from the spirit of the deceased. It is the emergent wisdom of the client's own deep psyche and system, giving itself the critical permission and release it needs. It is the client's inner truth affirming the vital boundary between the living and the lost.
The ensuing movement in the field was the client's representative being physically yet symbolically ushered across the space. This shift from the intense emotional loyalty to the lost one, the realm of the dead, to the space of moving forward, the realm of the living, is the ultimate act of sovereignty. It is the client's internal system declaring, I consciously choose my own fate, which is life. This movement is always an inner one first, manifesting in the external field, even if the emotional integration of this choice takes time to catch up.
Let's pause for guided reflection. The choice.
Take a slow 3-part breath. In, hold, out. Identify the pole where in your life you are rejecting joy, ease, or full health. What does that refusal grant you access to? Now we will feel into the separation. Visualize a line on the floor. The realm of death on one side. The realm of life on the other. Hear the sacred instruction from death. This is not your place. Take the step on your next exhale. Take one physical or mental step across that line into the realm of life. You can pause the podcast for 15 minutes of reflection and internal movement.
You are still listening to Younique Yet Connected. The theme for this episode is the air you breathe, the hidden loyalty to death. Remember, when you comment, ask questions, like and share our content and links, you help us grow and change lives together. Like us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Embracing life, the wisdom of sadness and joy. Even in the realm of the living, the client could not immediately embrace life. The guilt had transformed into deep sadness. She felt that to move toward joy would be a betrayal of the profound sorrow associated with her cousin.
This is the beautiful, nuanced work of grief. We think honoring the loss means carrying the weight forever. But the sadness of the living is different from the fate of the dead. It is natural. It is not a binding contract.
The profound wisdom arrived when the representative of life spoke to the sadness directly. The message was gentle but firm. Accept sadness as part of life, but do not forget about the joy of living. This is the ultimate integration.
Integration and the double life. The choice is not to erase the sadness, but to allow it to coexist with joy. The sadness becomes a rich, fertile layer of the human experience, not a wall blocking the sun. She slowly began to warm up, moving from duty to curiosity.
The true healing is when we realize that letting go of fatal loyalty is an act of love and profound honor. It means the living one lives twice as fully for themselves and in honor of the potential life the deceased was unable to live. The client's lungs could finally breathe deep because the permission to live was no longer conflicted.
The suffocation was released. The block was removed, not by fighting it, but by returning the loyalty to its rightful owner. The breath she takes now is not merely survival. It is a sacred, sovereign choice for the living.
Closing reflections and next steps. As we close this profound exploration, we leave you with this image. You are sovereign over your own life force.
As you settle into your own rhythm this week, maybe ask yourself this deep, gentle question. Where in my life am I mistaking sorrow for duty? And what is the one tiny, curiosity-driven step I can take toward joy, knowing that my grief remains a sacred part of my story?
If you felt something stir in you, a remembering, a longing to meet your own sovereign breath, perhaps it is time to enter the field yourself.
Join us at Younique Yet Connected, book your constellation session, or attend one of our upcoming workshops, because sometimes healing isn't about doing more, trying harder, or fixing a flaw. It's about finally allowing life to move through you again.
Thank you for your contribution in helping us be chosen as a top 10 South Africa family podcast by FeedSpot. We are also thrilled to be ranked among the best 30 family therapy and best 10 family secrets podcasts by A Million Podcasts. So take your first step into systemic work or looking for a community. Join our monthly virtual connection circle every first Tuesday evening of the month. To receive your link, subscribe on our website www.youniqueyetconnected.com or check for updates on our socials at Younique Yet Connected.
In the next episode, we still share with you how the field reveals the roots, the repetition, and the release.
And along the way, we will guide you in understanding how this work can support your own healing. Because the field doesn't just know my story, it knows yours too.
So take a deep breath, open your heart, and join us as we share with you what the field knows.
Because sometimes what you are searching for isn't outside of you. It is waiting quietly in the field for you to remember.
A big thank you to you for listening to our episode, and to Nick Mons from That Guy Productions for making us sound fabulous and on point. For episode 89, tune in on the 22nd of February 2026 from 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. For links and updates, stay tuned to our Facebook and Instagram pages. And on TikTok now, at Younique Yet Connected. Younique spelled Y-O-U-N-I-Q-U-E. Stay unique, stay connected, and remember, you are one of a kind, and we can only create a really meaningful podcast together. Siyabulela. Thank you very much. Kosonom. Bayatangi.
Thank you. Siyabulela. Kusanam. Bayatangi.